Hi, good evening, everybody. How are you doing? So, we are just beginning, we are just opening up, so we're going to see a lot of people start coming in. But for those that are here, thank you. Um, if you just bear with me 1 second, I'm trying to pull up the chat room so we could interact with each other. Okay.
What are you still doing here?
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. How is everyone doing tonight? Okay, let me just try this again. Try to bring up the chat. So good. As people are streaming in right now, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Major J Kim. I'm the Northeast Regional Commander, and I'm going to be doing the information session tonight. So, as we do continue streaming, please feel free to leave where you're from, where you are tuning in from. I'm sure we have people from around the world because we always do. But yeah, please feel free to enter in the chat where you're coming from. Okay, 29 people. Columbus, Georgia. Nice. Right outside Fort Benning. It's a beautiful area. Anyone else? Where's everyone else from? Connecticut. Great state of Connecticut. Love Connecticut. The Bronx, the Boogie Down BX. That's right. I'm not sure. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Yes, a lot of people from Connecticut. That is great. Connecticut is one of our strongest states. We always have a lot of applicants from the state. And yeah, strong. Orlando, Florida. Um, I'm seeing Atchison, Kansas, not far from Fort Leavenworth. Welcome, Allison. Thank you. Alyssa, Orlando, Florida. If you don't mind me asking, how hot is it over there right now? Because it's starting to get hot here. I'm sure it must be much hotter down there. Uh, So as we wait for a few other people to start coming in, you know, just kind of go over how we're going to go through this process tonight. Um, I'll give it about another minute or so. And for all those that are just recently joining, please leave in the chat where you're coming from so we know who we are speaking with. And also, if you want to, you could tell us if you're a junior right now with the current application open, if you are a freshman with just who is just interested in kind of seeing if West Point's the right fit. So, but if that is the case, then you've come to the right place because we're going to be talking about not only the application process, but kind of what we're looking for and what type of experience you'll be having during your 47-month cadet experience. Um, okay. So, so as the final people start coming in, I am going to begin. For those who are just tuning in, my name is Major J Kim. I am the Northeast Regional Commander. So I'm responsible for the area from Maine down to Delaware and out to Pennsylvania. So, I've worked. Hopefully, I see some people in this chat who I've worked with or will be working with. I'm a 2009 graduate of West Point. While I was at West Point, studied economics. Um, did club. I was a company athletics warrior, so a slug warrior. Also, yeah, don't like telling people this, but I was a member of the Glee Club, so you get to experience a lot of different things while you're at the academy, things you potentially wouldn't think that you'd be interested in, right? And I guess another important part of the story is, yeah, so I started this process a little differently than everyone else. I started coming from the enlisted ranks, ended up going to the prep school, and ultimately ended up at West Point. So there is that avenue, and I'll kind of discuss it as we move forward. But welcome everyone. It's 7:30, and I'm gonna start now. Welcome to welcome, and thank you for taking the time for attending this West Point missions informational brief. Now, with me tonight, I have Captain Jamal Olatunde, who is the athletics regional commander. So he's responsible for all athletes and also the congressional liaison. And Jermaine Clark, who's a West Point grad, and he's the person responsible for all the great social media that you see us producing on Instagram, Facebook, all those things. So a lot of experience. So the main point of this is if you have questions, ask them, right? And you could do so in the chat. We're gonna have people answering any questions that you have. It could be what I'm talking about, or it could be something different. So I will begin. The agenda today, and as I was saying, this is really going to be driven by all of what you are, what kind of questions you ask. But we're going to be talking about the West Point experience, what West Point offers, talking about kind of the history of the military academy and what its purpose is, cadet life, and the nuts and bolts of the whole thing, the application process, what you should be looking for, what you should be focusing on as you begin this application process. And I'll tell you, it is, it could be difficult, right? A lot of different requirements that you have to do that you necessarily wouldn't have with a regular college application. There's the nomination, the medical, the candidate fitness assessment, all these things that tie in. And so we're an important thing, and I'm going to talk about this more, is the West Point experience. It is a unique 47-month experience, and our goal really throughout this is to challenge you and to push you to help you grow so that when you do graduate and earn a commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army, you are ready and prepared to lead the nation's greatest resource, which is its sons and daughters in the fight to keep this nation safe. That should be the starting point of why you are looking at West Point. But the West Point experience, it's exciting, challenging, fulfilling, and one way I'd like to describe it is it's an uncommon experience, right? So this is very different from your typical college experience. You and the benefit of that is you can experience something that really only people who have experience will be able to say that they understand what that is truly like. So unless you are a West Point cadet, you don't really understand what it means to go to a spirit dinner or have like after Christmas dinner, the whole Corps of Cadets will go out and smoke cigars. So being part of this experience is something unique, but I'm going to be talking about a lot of cool things, a lot of sometimes difficult things, but the center of why you should be looking at the Service Academy, especially West Point, is you want to be an Army officer and serve your country in the fight to keep this nation safe. Oh, it's still seeing people coming in. If you are just tuning in, please take the time to type in where you're coming from. And if you do have any questions, we do have people available to answer them. So Trevor coming from Pittsburgh, PA. I love Pittsburgh. Trevor, if you want to let me know what your favorite Primanti Brothers sandwich is, I'll tell you mine later too. Marcos, always good to see active duty soldiers out there. I'm also the soldiers admissions rep, so yeah, a lot of opportunities for active duty soldiers that, quite frankly, not enough soldiers know about. But going back to what West Point is about, it's really, and going back to this, it's about service to the nation, right? You are being prepared to serve your country as an Army officer. And that, quite frankly, is a lot of responsibility. And so for you to live up to that responsibility, we are preparing you to be mentally sharp, physically fit, and morally straight during your 47-month experience here. So, and like really, it goes back to kind of what I talked about in the beginning. What West Point is built for, right? It is, I'll be completely transparent. It is not the easiest college experience that you can have, right? Um, there are definitely challenges built into the system, time management. We're going to push you academically, mentally, physically, but for those that make it through and end up graduating, by and large, they credit the time here with helping them push beyond what they thought their limits were and helping them to achieve what they thought was um, something that was beyond what their natural limits were. And that kind of sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, with any experience, really, anything, any hardship that you overcome, the more difficult it is and the more challenging, the more rewarding it is when you finally do obtain it. So graduation, when you finally get to that point, it is an amazing, amazing experience. I always like to joke that it's one of the three best days of my life. Uh, the day I got married, the birth of my kids, and the day I graduated West Point. And I'm not going to tell you the order because my wife might be watching this and I'll get in trouble, but yeah, it is a great experience and just for the reason I mentioned. It is um, rewarding because it is difficult and not everyone is willing or able to do it. So what West Point offers, right? As a cadet, like, for those of you that don't know, when you come to West Point, you're going to receive a lot, right? You will receive a lot and a lot will be expected of you. So you will get a fully funded education funded by the taxpayers of our great nation, and that will cover tuition, room and board, books, medical care, dental care, and you will also be paid to attend the academy. So, obviously, that's a pretty good deal. You're getting paid to go and get a pretty high quality education. Uh, So, I've been talking for a couple minutes, and I'm going to try to do this every few minutes. Just take a break for a second or two and see if anyone has any questions that I could answer before I move on. Uh, just waiting. And as I do wait for questions, gonna, I guess I'll start talking about like some of the rankings that we do have. We are a strong academic institution. Ratings wise, we do fairly well. It's kind of tough to rank West Point with traditional colleges because what we do is different. Um, all service academies, by its very nature, by their very natures, we have a different goal than a lot of colleges. So the rankings, you take them with a grain of salt. What I will say is, um, oh, what I will say is like the things that we're pretty proud of, most successful professors. Our professors are here. I mean, they do research, but their sole focus at the academy is to help you learn and further your education. So, every cadet, every graduate is going to have a story of they're calling the professor on a Sunday night and not thinking they'll pick up, and they pick up, or a professor coming down to the barracks and buying pizza and having a study session. So those are things we're pretty proud of, and we do pretty good on the national rankings as well. So, um, going to the chat, I just realized that I wasn't scrolling down. That's why I wasn't seeing any of these questions. So, my fault on that. Uh, just taking a look. A lot of people from Pennsylvania, from Oklahoma. Welcome, Connie, Ryder, right from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Welcome, welcome, Harris, Elizabeth from West Point, Virginia. I like the name. Um, yeah, great to see Aaron Carlisle, Beat Navy, Usman 96. Great to see old grads. Sir, if you want to chime in some of the things that you've learned, that'd be very, very helpful. Junior from Long Island, we always have a lot of strong applicants from Long Island. Um, just to go to one question, Sherry Phelps, will candidates receive an email if they did not make it into SLE? So we are still going through the SLE evaluation process. Um, we will continue to do that and make decisions as people accept decline. But if you are not accepted, yes, we will send a email to let you know that you are not accepted to SLE. One thing I would like to highlight about SLE though, SLE has no bearing on your application, your admissions decision. So if you get into SLE, that does not mean you're going to get into West Point. If you do not get into SLE, it does not mean you are not going to get into West Point. So I would encourage everyone, and I'm going to talk about this in the application part. The most important thing is to control what you can control and continue to work on your application, to continue to work strengthening it. Marco's asking how much is a monthly stipend. Just want to make sure I can make my payments on my car and phone. So as an active duty soldier, you are used to having a car. You can have a phone. You will not be able to have a car or drive a car until your junior year. So the monthly stipend starts as $250 for a plebe or freshman, and it will go up every single year till senior year, you're making close to, I believe, 600 a month. But I am also old, and my information may be not be correct, but I believe it's 550, around 600. Okay. So what West Point offers: when you graduate, you're going to receive a commission and serve as an officer and leader of character in the United States Army. You will have a job, right? 100% job placement into the Army. And we're going to talk about a lot of the different opportunities that you have, but generally we do a pretty good job of matching you to a job that you are interested in. And these are some of the jobs that are available. The Army is the military's ground-based force. And so all of you that are out there that are thinking, I want to fly fighter jets or I want to be on an aircraft carrier, you are looking at the wrong place. Um, that being said, I will mention a bunch of things. The Army, right? There are things that you would traditionally associate with the Army, like infantry, artillery, um, engineers. We have a lot of aviation helicopters. We have the most helicopters of any branch. But also, there are other jobs and branches, what we call branches available. So, medical service corps, military intelligence, finance. So, a lot of different opportunities. And then you also have the opportunity later on to apply for other career choices. So special forces, if you want to be a Green Beret, there's that. Psychological operations, civil affairs, if you want to be an Army lawyer, there's opportunity to do that. If you want to end up trying to become a physician's assistant, a doctor, there are opportunities that way. And then we also have something called functional areas, where as you progress in your career, really you will see a myriad of job opportunities that you probably wouldn't expect with the Army. So like planners, space operations, operation research system analysis, which is like a data scientist, foreign area officer, where you work with foreign nations and you learn a language and you kind of work as a liaison for the United States government between foreign nations. So a lot of different opportunities. And because the Army is the largest by far of all the other military branches, I mean, the number of opportunities you have are as, yeah, it's really, really big. Like, just to just make it sound basic, it is really large, the opportunities that you have and the things that you could potentially do. So, so now I'm going to transition about West Point. While I'm doing that, Ricardo is asking more than 70% has to be selected to combat branches. Ricardo, more than, I believe more than 80%. We're moving to more than 80% have to branch in combat branches. So both males and females are able to branch in combat branches. That's something that we are working towards. So we are moving to 80% in combat branches. So, I mean, infantry, artillery. That being said, there are opportunities to do something which are called a branch detail, where you do your lieutenant time in a combat arms branch and get some really valuable experience. I did a combat. No, I ended up doing a branch detail. I started off in the artillery and now ended up in finance and will be moving over to become an operations research system analysis, essentially data scientist. But you know, you will have that opportunity, and having that lieutenant time in a combat arms, that was the most fun I've ever had in the Army so far. Second, a close second is this job. I hope my boss isn't watching because I don't want to get fired. Stacy, I just want to briefly answer Stacy Marie's question. She's asking, after the candidate questionnaire, what is next? So the candidate questionnaire is kind of an initial thing. The main thing that everyone with the file open right now, all juniors or reapplicants are looking for, June 1st is when we open our second step kit, and that is really the meat and potatoes of the application. So for all of you out there, please, that is the date you should be looking for. And I'll talk about this later in the application process and give some more details. So, the history of the United States Military Academy. President Jefferson established West Point in 1802. That's why our library is named after President Jefferson's Jefferson Library. West Point is the first engineering school in America. That's something we pride ourselves on. And engineering, you do not have to be an engineering major, but everyone will get a taste of engineering in something. If you're not an engineering major, you will get a taste of engineering in something known as core engineering sequence. So you will have the opportunity to kind of dabble in some of the engineering sequences, and you'll see this later on with the syllabus that I show. 1817 was when Colonel Sylvanus Thayer established the curriculum. So, sir, I know there's an old grad in here. He could no, he could probably chime in about the Thayer system, but it flips learning upside down. As where in a traditional learning environment, you get taught the lesson and then you do homework or work on it. Instead, you teach yourself the information of the lesson, and then the next day you will ask any questions you have, and you will be do something known as a check on learning, where the professor is going to say, okay, please explain what you read, or if it's a math problem, go everyone go to the board and let's do problem number 42A, maybe in differentiation calculus, differential calculus. So, you know, I would say that it might be painful, but it is a very, very effective way to retain information and really take accountability for your own learning experience. Um, so, not and just to kind of poke at our fellow service academies, I also would like to mention that we are the first service academy. So the Naval Academy and the Air Force Academy, you will see a lot of things that are similar. It's because they copied us, right? So yeah, beat Navy and beat Air Force. One thing that West Point really prides itself on, and it is, it's an important part of the 47-month experience is, we produce leaders, right? Because when you graduate, you are going to be commissioned as a second lieutenant, and you are going to lead. You're going to be a platoon leader in charge of 30 plus young men and women who have, or maybe with a platoon sergeant who might not be that young or old. Um, these people are entrusting you to make good decisions and care for their welfare. So, this is a good cross section of some of the leaders that we've produced throughout our history. You see President Eisenhower, Douglas MacArthur, Benjamin O. Davis, who led the Tuskegee Airmen, Buzz Aldrin, but you also see people that people would not necessarily associate with West Point. So Alex Gorsky, the CEO of Johnson and Johnson. I mean, West Point graduates, a lot of them who end up leaving, end up doing very well in the private sector. Lieutenant General Nadja West was the first female Army Surgeon General. Coach K, Duke graduate. I mean, everyone associated him with Duke, but he's a West Point grad. And for all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, I know I saw one. Alejandro Villanueva, Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle. So, the common thread amongst all these men and women are that they they serve their country, and the leadership that they're showing in whatever realm that they are in. It's something that they've learned, and they are continuing um, as they in whatever field they're at. So, yeah, I will talk about the kind of developmental model and really what makes the West Point experience different. But before I do that, just gonna jump back into some of the questions. You know, when are emails going out for SLE? They are going out now, but we are still making decisions. So if you are waiting for an SLE decision, they're starting to roll out now. So please check your inbox and be on the lookout. And I just want to reiterate what I said. Acceptance to SLE does not mean acceptance to West Point, and vice versa. If you do not get accepted to SLE, don't stress. It's just a snapshot in time, and you have a lot of time to add to your application. It has no bearing whatsoever on the admissions decision for West Point. Oh, when is our day this year? Bridget, our day this year is going to be June 26th, 27th, and 28th. So for accepted candidates, they're going to get a notification on what their specific R day is going to be, but those will be the dates. So going back to really, in my opinion, one of the things that makes West Point different than a traditional college, right? In a traditional college, you will see these are what we refer to as our four pillars of development, right? In a normal college, you will see academic development being the singular goal for a university or college, right? Academics. That's what colleges are for. Where West Point is different is we add physical development, military, this military training piece, and character development. All these are integral parts of the experience, and are. These are the pillars that we kind of use as guiding points to produce these leaders of characters, these well-rounded leaders of character that are going to go out and serve as second lieutenants. Oh, just want to briefly transition into what cadet life is like. So For all the old grads out there, they can probably answer this question, but a plebe is a freshman, a yearling is a sophomore, a cow is a junior, and a first is a senior. So if someone, if you hear someone call someone else a cow, other places that could potentially be offensive, but not here. Cow just means junior, and um, I will give. Um, so I want to ask, does anyone actually know where that phrase came from? Except the old grads out there. Please don't chime in. If any of the candidates or the young high school and women could tell me what that comes from, I'll give you a shout out. Okay. An important question we often get asked is, what is a cadet day like? And this is obviously this is just a very sparse picture of a timeline, but this is kind of what your day is going to look like day in and day out. You're going to wake up between 5:20 and I would say if you're really risky, 6:30 and you want to run and brush your teeth, put on your clothes and run down to formation in time. Um, there's always one or two that try to do that. You have breakfast and then breakfast formation. Then you will have blocks of time for instruction. So after breakfast, you have class until about 11:55. You will not be in class all that entire time. That is just the time that you could potentially be in class. If you're not in class, you could be in your room, you could be in the library, you could do your laundry, you could take care of other things. So don't think that you're going to be in class that whole time. After, you will have lunch, and then after lunch, you have another block of instruction. Same rules apply. You're going to have instruction, and then at 4:15, 16:15, for all the military folks out there, um, that is when you start athletics. I'm going to talk about this, but athletics are an integral part of the cadet experience. Everyone, every cadet is an athlete. That is a saying that it really has meaning at the academy. Everyone will participate in athletics of some sort. Um, then you have dinner time, and after dinner you have time to study. It's called evening study period, where you are going to be studying and really, yeah, doing your homework, doing projects with your fellow cadets, and at 12 or 2400, or if you didn't budget your time or plan carefully, or if you have a lot of work, maybe a little later. So when you look at this, look, it's a long day. And one of the most important things that you learn at West Point is you got to learn how to manage your time. And this is a life lesson and a skill that will be of value to you for the rest of your life. So not just while you're at West Point and a cadet, whatever you end up doing, like this is going to be a valuable skill. Because if you decide, oh, I don't feel like doing my homework, I'm just going to play Xbox all day, that is not going to be a good outcome for you. Because, yeah. So, yeah, time management is a very important skill to learn. So just want to go back. Uh, what score range should I aim for my math score and my SAT and ACT? Sherry, that is a great, great, great question, and I'm sorry, but I will answer that in about 3 or 4 slides. So please hang in there. Um, Barbara Hessler Griffith, do you expect applications to drop this coming application period as a result of the pandemic? So, Barbara, we do not. It's kind of strange. If you look at trends nationwide, college applications are actually up. And, you know, we are seeing a lot of students, yeah, applying for a lot more colleges than they would traditionally have. Now, with West Point, being a unique place, and any service academy, they still have to get through the entire process, but we do not expect to see a decline in the number of admissions. And TJ Turek, this is a very important question. I've seen mixed answers, but is the essay portion of the SAT required for the class of 2026? The answer is no, it is not. So SAT, the essay is not going to be required, but we are going to take a look at what classes you take. So AP English, if we do feel that there is some risk in your file associated with your ability to write, we may ask for a timed writing sample. So it's totally up to you. If you wanted to take the SAT with essay one time, just to kind of, you know, have a writing sample submitted, you are more than welcome to do that. With the ACT, we are still currently going to require the writing portion. So for the SAT, no, because the SAT will not offer it anymore. But for the ACT, yes, we will still require the writing. Great question. Um, okay, so going back to the academics, small class sizes. This is one of the things that is really a benefit of the academy. 15 to 18, really I would say more like 12 to 15, but you get personalized attention, which is fantastic because your professors, as I was saying before, they are there to help you succeed. The only bad time is when you didn't do your work, and it's really hard to hide in a classroom that small when you're trying to tap dance around not knowing something. So, keeps you on your toes, but by and large, it is great. Um, Civilian professors are 30%, 20% permanently assigned active duty officers, so 50% are PhDs. There are no TAs at the academy. And then the other 50% are military officers who are coming from the force on 2 to 3 year assignments who've completed grad school or PhDs and will serve as your instructors before they head back into the force. Some things I would like to highlight. After graduation and in the Army itself, there are a lot of opportunities to um, get an advanced degree. So going back to the point that the Army is the largest of all the branches, we have the most robust program for scholarships. Oh, right after West Point, if you are strong academically or you are looking to apply for these, there's Rhodes Scholar, Gates Scholar, Marshall Scholars, Hertz, Fulbright. We also send a lot to something known as the Lincoln Lab or Draper Fellowship. These are programs at MIT where right after graduation you go get a 2 year degree at MIT doing research. Um, Pretty cool. Medical school too. For any of you, I'm sure there's people that are looking at medical school. We always send about 20 to medical school. Um, those are the those are the cadets that have completed either a pre-med track, chemical engineering, kinesiology, something that meets the requirements, and then have taken the MCATs and are applying to medical school and are accepted. So, you know, 20 doesn't seem like a large number, but that's people who have gone through that track and are saying that they want to go to medical school right after. You can also apply for medical school while you're in the Army, but if you look at our website, you will see our cadets are going to the best medical schools in the country. Stanford, Yale, Brown, like the top tier medical schools. And part of the reason why, not only the coaching and mentorship they get while going through the interview and the MCAT process, but also because it goes back to what I keep saying, like your application is going to look different than someone who went to a traditional college. So if you are interested in medical school, I mean, we do a pretty good job of sending our cadets to some top tier medical schools. And going back into the Army, we have a program called Advanced Civil Schooling where you will have the opportunity to attend a graduate school, fully funded, get paid your full salary, and your job is to attend graduate school. So with me in this room, Captain Olatunde and I, we both went to graduate school. I know Captain Piles, our IMO, is lurking around there. He went through the program as well. You get paid to go to school, so it's also an opportunity to grow your hair long, but it is a fantastic opportunity that is available in the Army. So yeah, kind of talking about the academic majors, I think there is a misconception that West Point is strictly an engineering school. I would counter that by saying, of all the service academies, we have the most robust non-STEM programs. So economics, American politics, law, like these are we have, yeah, very, very robust and excellent programs. Cyber science, we have a top-notch Army Cyber Center here. We have um, our teams in cyber and IT, like they win these cyber defense competitions year after year. So a lot of different academic majors if you're not interested in engineering. And again, a dig at the fellow service academies. 36 academic majors, that is the most of any service academy. So, if there is something you're interested, we likely have it, and we also offer 15 different minors. Um, so, a 4 year academic journey, this is kind of what your schedule is going to look like between your plebe, yearling, CAL, and first year. All the courses highlighted in black are your core courses. Your white courses are leadership, and then you have that broad space for your majors and your elective courses. The benefit of going through this is that you stay in contact and you really get to know your classmates. So, as opposed to another college where you may meet someone once in 4 years, or you may never meet any of your classmates. You between always being in the same types of classes with them, the summer training, you will know your classmates pretty well. Um, so you'll see, for example, if there's a calculus exam for, please, actually, better example, there's an American politics exam tomorrow for the yearlings or the sophomores. So there's a lot of cramming going on. Um, and notes being passed back and forth in study groups. So, it is a good opportunity to kind of learn your classmates, know who your classmates are. So the sports piece, if I have any people interested in recruited athletics, the NCAA sports, and these are a list of the sports we have. If you do want to be considered as a recruit, um, there is a recruiting a candidate questionnaire that you can fill out. It is not on our website. Um, Jamal, if you can post that, because I am drawing a blank, but there is an area where you can send a note to the coaches or the teams directly to kind of potentially be evaluated. If you're not an NCAA athlete, then we have a lot of different activities that you could participate in, physical activities. So we have club sports, boxing, climbing, triathlon, judo. So all these different types of things, powerlifting, taekwondo, and then intramural sports. These are done with your company mates. And when I hear, like, if I had gone to West Point, if I heard intramural, I would probably think of someone with a beer in their hand or a Coke in their hand, like throwing a frisbee around casually or like just having fun. Intramurals at West Point are pretty intense because everyone's athletic, everyone wants to win, and like you are representing your company. So you have your company um, on your chest representing it, and so everyone wants to win, and I think that's what really makes it fun. The 4 year military journey. This is what puts the military in the United States Military Academy. Cadet basic training for 6 weeks, cadet field training for 4 weeks, and as you go into a cadet troop leader training, and I'll go into kind of these things one by one. Cadet basic training. This is where you're going to learn how to really follow. You learn the basics of how to be a cadet. It's different than basic training, which is meant to teach people how to become soldiers. The cadet basic training for all the active duty reserve National Guard soldiers out here, it is different. So if you go into cadet basic training thinking it's going to be exactly like basic training, it is not. Um, it is meant to teach you how to be a cadet. So learning, you know, a lot of basic soldiering skills, but also learning things that are unique to West Point. So cupping your hands, learning cadet knowledge, but also you get the chance to fire an M4. Uh, you get the chance to learn land navigation, basic military customs and courtesy. Your sophomore year, you do more advanced things. You do cadet field training, and this is where you're learning more advanced techniques. So you're learning how to do night land navigation. You are learning room clearing, and all these different types of events. And then your junior and senior years, you have these different opportunities. Something known as Cadet Leadership Development Training, CLDT, which is where you have the opportunity to go out somewhere in the world and shadow a second lieutenant and kind of see what you will be getting into once you commission. So, great opportunity. When I was a cadet, I ended up having the opportunity to go to Hawaii for my summer. So, it was great. It was fantastic. Uh, you also have something known as uh, CLDT, Cadet Leadership Development Training. This is where you are taking everything you learn as a freshman, as a sophomore, and then you're bringing it all together and you're really learning to act as a platoon leader and going through conducting missions. So it's a pretty intense thing. You're going to be out in the field a long time, but it is a great training opportunity. And then part of the reason why West Point does such a good job of producing leaders is, all the training that is done is led by the cadets. So cadet basic training is run by the upperclassmen. Cadet field training is also run by the upperclassmen. So, this general progression that you will see, you it really helps you grow more and more comfortable with increasing levels of responsibility. So cadet basic training or your plebe year, you're learning how to follow. Cadet field training, no, and your yuck year, your sophomore year, you are learning to take care of one or two people. Your junior year, you're learning how to take care of 5 to 7, and then your senior year, you're learning how to be responsible for 30 up to 4,400 if you're the first captain. So, the step-by-step process is what's gonna make you feel comfortable when you do actually get onto the army and lead soldiers. So, been talking for a while, so jumping back into the questions. Maxwell is asking, is there any benefit of taking the ACT if you have already scored high on the SAT? Um, so Maxwell, I will answer that question too, because I'm gonna go kind of talk about SAT, ACT. So please forgive me, but I will talk about that in a little bit. Elizabeth Alley. So is there a professor of? Oh, okay, never mind. I am going back. Is rugby a recruited sport, Steve Carroll? Yes, it is. Are you able to take two sports? If you're a Division 1 athlete, or no, typically you will only participate in one sport. So, yes. And broadening opportunities. I mean, this is also a pretty unique opportunity. You'll have the opportunity to do semesters abroad if you are fluent in Portuguese or Chinese or French. So, Brazil, China, France, Israel, other service academies. You'll also have access to some pretty unique internships because you'll have a secret security clearance. I mean, you could do an internship at the White House, the FBI, NASA, um, a lot of different places, unique places. So a myriad of different opportunities you that you could be doing over the summer, really around the world. And then military qualification schools. If you would prefer to try to do some military qualification schools, you could, jump out of an airplane, rappel out of a helicopter, learn how to blow things up in sapper school. There's a lot of different unique opportunities available for cadets. Okay, so no, I know I've been getting a lot of questions on the SAT, ACT. Um, just wanted to kind of sum up what we are looking for up front. So we're looking for well-rounded candidates who demonstrate the following, strong academics, leadership potential on the athletic field, in your school, in your community, and a high level of physical fitness. So, all these things well-rounded. And my advice is, try, don't focus on only one area. Make sure that you are applying attention to all of these. So the basic eligibility requirements: you must be a U.S. citizen. You must be 17 to 23 years old the day you enroll. So you can turn 23 one day after our day, but you have to be 22 when you start. You can't be married, and you must not be pregnant or have legal obligation to support a child. So those are the absolute non-waiverable eligibility requirements that we have. So for all the juniors in here, you've already done step one, which is complete a candidate questionnaire, providing basic information. And I would also recommend kind of reaching out to your field force member who is a local area volunteer in your community who really is an invaluable source of information. They will also potentially do your interview. They could potentially help you with your candidate fitness assessment, being the one that proctors it. But for those juniors who have a candidate questionnaire open, my advice to you is this is a marathon and not a sprint. So develop a plan and start working at it piece by piece by piece. I see people try to rush things in the last few weeks of the application deadline, and it never ends well for those candidates. Like they always their files get closed for missing something, for not meeting a requirement, for having poor candidate fitness assessment video. So, yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Develop a plan and work through the pieces step by step. But, the whole application, the way we evaluate is really simple. We make it transparent as possible. 60% is academic, so, SAT or the ACT with writing and your GPA. The school official evaluations, which are we are going to require evaluations from you from a math teacher, an English teacher, a chemistry or physics. Those are the only sciences we accept, and a PE teacher. Now, I'm probably going to get this question. I don't take PE. Then who is authorized to do it? We cannot accept it from a coach. It can be an athletic director. If you're in JROTC, it could be them. It could be the person that conducts your candidate fitness assessment, or it could be another PE teacher with input from someone else. But you cannot have your coach do it. But One quick note about the leadership before I go back to the most important part, which is the academics. All these things are, cumulatively 30%, but they are 10% each. So, having a good rapport and really letting your teachers kind of know beforehand is a good, um, probably good thing to do as a junior. Like knowing, hey, I'm applying to West Point, and would it be okay if I sent you a evaluation sometime in the early fall or the summertime? Um, we are also going to look at your extracurricular activities and your athletics. So with those two things, it's more about quality than quantity. So we want to see high levels of leadership in both extracurriculars, like student body president, editor in chief of the newspaper, boys or girls state. Those are strong things that we look for. Athletics, we want to see more than being a participant in 10 sports. We'd rather see captaincies and varsity letters in a few sports. And then the candidate fitness assessment, it's 10%, but an important 10% because this is the number one reason why a candidate's file is closed. Not following the instructions and not submitting videos to standard. We are the only service academy that requires videos. So, we are pretty strict with them. We have a high standard in our Department of Physical Education. Um, some cadets jokingly refer to it as the Department of Pure Evil, right? So they are also going to review your videos, and if you're not doing two standard push-ups, pull-ups, or flex arm hang, they are just going to reject it. So again, going back, being early and doing that stuff early in the admission process is important because you could submit it, you could keep working on it, and you can try again. We'll let you try again. But if your first time is all the way right before the application deadline and you fail, or your videos are not the standard, I'm sorry, that's the end of your application. Like, and I had that. I had close to 80 candidates who that happened to this year. They last 2 weeks of the admission cycle, videos were not the standard, and they were upset. They asked for an exception, and no exceptions will be offered because it's unfair to everyone that did it correctly and on time. For me, or anyone really in admissions, to give additional time for someone who did not meet the standard by the admission deadline. Okay, that being said, okay, going back, the academic, 60%, right? This is the biggest part of your application. And so people ask, what should I focus on? Look at this chart. If 60% is your academics, most of your focus should be on your academics. Um, the question about the SAT or the ACT, what is a high enough score? One thing I'd like to mention, our class profiles and our averages that you see on our website are very misleading. So please do not take that into account. The answer is really impossible to say because the SAT ACT score that is required for you to get in really depends on what nomination you have. So I'm going to talk about nominations in a little bit, but you compete against everyone with the same nomination. And in full transparency, there are more competitive districts than others. One example, I was just talking to someone from the 4th District of Connecticut. Incredibly competitive. They routinely send 8 to 10 candidates every year from one congressional district to West Point. So if that's the case, it might benefit you to continue taking the SAT ACT because you could continually update, and if you improve, we will consider that, and it will help your whole candidate evaluation that we look at. With a GPA, we're looking at your weighted GPA. We do take into account AP scores, IB courses. We understand the rigor of that. So yeah, performing well in challenging courses is important, but where you should focus, academics, you need that as a base to be competitive for the admissions. Okay, I know that was a lot. Does anyone have any questions on the whole candidate score or really how the evaluation is going to happen? If you do, please feel free to chime in and ask any questions now. I know this is probably the one that will generate the most questions, but if anyone does have any questions on the whole candidate score that we use to evaluate, please feel free to leave a message in the chat room. And one last thing I want to highlight. I gave the example of the CFA videos. the application deadline is January 31st, not February 1st, not March 1st. It is January 31st with no exceptions. So, you will have to have everything complete by that time, except medical. Um, so, Till, man, what is about international cadets? Do they have special requirements? Yes. So, international cadets are managed by the Southwest Regional Commander, Major Steve Gilbert. They do have their own unique requirements. Um, because of COVID implications, it was different. But the big thing, Till, is that you have the countries that are eligible to nominate inter students from their country to come to West Point. You have to be on a selected list, and this is a list that the United States government changes every year. It's countries that there's a strategic benefit for the United States for you, or like as a measure of goodwill. The countries kind of change every year. Um, you'll see Bulgaria, South Korea, um, uh, yeah, Morocco, but like it changes every year. But the bottom line is, as an international cadet, you will have to be sponsored by your country, and it will go through the United States Embassy in your country for the application process. So it is different. Yale, Soto, how does evaluation differ for active duty soldiers? Same process. The differences, the only main differences is the nomination piece you could get from your commander. So you do not have to go through a congressional nomination piece. Instead, you will need to get your commander to fill out an evaluation, and we will give you an active duty nomination for that. So other than that, though, same application process. The medical qualification, you will all candidates to West Point will, and really any service academy and ROTC will need to go through the Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board. We do not manage this. This is located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, on the Air Force campus, Air Force Academy campus. It is not part of the Air Force Academy, but they are responsible for the evaluations for all the service academies, all service ROTC, Officer Candidate School. So, it's a lot of people that they are responsible for. You, you must take and pass a full physical and optometry screenings that we have to pass. And this is not open to everyone. You have to be a competitive candidate, which and goes back to like always, you may not be a competitive candidate when you start, but you have the opportunity to continue testing and trying to improve your file overall to get to that point. But this does not open automatically. Even if you have perfect SAT scores, a 4.3 GPA, you are a class president, it will not open until you complete the majority of your file. And a warning, if you start this process late, and we are actually running into this a lot right now, you may not have enough time to complete the whole evaluation. And as I was saying, you could be the perfect candidate with perfect everything. If you're not medically qualified, you will not be offered an appointment. So highly stressed, be early in the process. Um, oh, the nomination piece, this is incredibly important. You must have a nomination to be considered for the academy. So we have two different kind of brackets of nominations. We have service connected, so children of career military. You could read those all. Those typically are given for specific scenarios, and the requirement is you fill out a form, you send it to us, we will evaluate it and see if one of these apply to you for service connected. The congressional nominations, everyone, including active duty soldiers, every single person is eligible to apply for up to 4 congressional nominations. So I would highly encourage you to do so. You could think of nominations like fishing lines. I was saying you are competing against and evaluated against everyone with the same congressional nomination as you. The more nominations you have, the more opportunities you have to be evaluated. So it kind of makes sense. And this is an area where you could start working on this now. You could start working on this summer. Go log on to the member of your House of Representative, your two senators, and see what their requirements are, because they are not all the same. The vice president as well, Kamala Harris, she has the ability to nominate. I would say that the vice president is the easiest, but it's also the most competitive. It's the easiest because it's on the website. Um, you submit an online form with some information, but it is also selected nationwide. So it is pretty difficult. Um, with this, One thing I'd like to note, every single year I have some people say, I didn't work on my West Point application because I was focusing on my congressional nominations. That's also why I didn't start my medical. That is a bad way to go through this process. It's difficult. There's a lot of juggling, but you have to navigate these processes simultaneously if you want to be as successful as possible. And that's why, I keep trying to like nail this point in the, like stomping my feet and saying, the earlier you start, the more you do when everyone else is not doing things, like in the summertime, um, the less you will have to do when you ramp up and you're busy senior year doing all types of other things. So, being prepared, being early, that is very important in this process. So, just a general application strategy, I, I think I've said it a million times already, but be proactive and complete the application early. There, I read I read a lot of applications, right? Every single application that goes to committee crosses my desk, and I have to read it. And by and large, every single essay that is written, the statement says, I really want to go to the academy. I want to serve my country. I want to do my best. Like, but if you say that, if you say West Point is important to me, this is something I really want. This is something that has been a dream of mine, and you don't do anything on your application, and you start doing things in December, I am going to look at that and you know I'm still going to evaluate your file obviously, but you know, there's going to be an obvious mismatch if you tell me that it's always been a dream of yours, West Point is truly your goal, and you haven't done anything for a long time. Working on your application is the only way that you could demonstrate your intent to the person that is looking and reviewing your file. So look, all of you in here, all 53 of you, I don't know if 53 of you are applicants. I'm sure there's parents and other members out there, but be early in the process. I've had candidates, who would be complete with their entire application because they prepared. They'd be done 2 weeks after. And I'm not saying that is the benchmark. You do not have. That's why I was an exceptional candidate. But you know, when I saw that, I was like, wow, this person really did the legwork to be able to get to this point. And as a benefit, they were able to get their CFA reviewed early, the candidate fitness assessment reviewed early, the medical reviewed early, and really they were in a very good position moving forward. And I was able to give them feedback. And to me, that is kind of what we're looking for. Study and prepare for the SAT, ACT. It's a big part of your overall evaluation. And if you have the resources and the time to do so, we super score. So, if you can, take it multiple times. It's a very important part. So if you can and you're able to, try to take the SAT multiple times. We don't care if you take it 10 times. I've actually had candidates who have taken, I think the highest number I saw was 13 different standardized tests. So, and with that candidate, it sticks out in my mind because the 13th test, he boosted his ACT math score by 2 points. And that 2 points was what made the difference between him getting an offer and not getting an offer. I talked about the candidate fitness assessment. Don't roll out of bed and just take the candidate fitness assessment when it's time to take it. It's 6 events, and you may look at it and think, okay, this is not that hard. But if you've never actually done all 6 events in the time frame that we're requiring, it could be tricky. And for those of you that have actually tried the candidate fitness assessment, I'm sure there are people out there in the chat room, like throwing a basketball with one arm from your knees. I'm sure like not many people have actually tried that. So if your first time trying to do that is when you take the candidate fitness assessment, strong chance that that will not turn out very well for you because with the candidate fitness assessment, with a basketball throw specifically, it's they say it's supposed to measure like girdle strength and core like explosion, something like all these weird things. But for me, I think that measures have you actually practiced this event. So if you want to practice the whole candidate fitness assessment. Have your mother, father, your friend time you, and also YouTube how to throw a basketball, how to do the basketball throw in the candidate fitness assessment, because there are kind of pointers that will help you get a better score. Just to reiterate, application deadline is January 31st, medical deadline April 15th. But I've been talking a lot about a lot of different things for a while. I would like to take a break and see if there's any questions that anyone has to ask. JHC, if I need to get Service Connected nomination, who should I ask? Battalion or CO level? Assume this is from the S1. No, it is not from the S1. It is from your company commander. Or really, if you have a relationship with your battalion commander, your brigade commander, I've seen them as high as two-star general. So the division commander, you can get these evaluations. And I would say do it, get it from not the highest ranking person you could get, but from the person who knows you most. How competitive is the SAT score above 1200? So Gianna, you know, as I was saying, it's hard to say how competitive a score is. It depends on what the breakdown is. We do weigh the math more than the verbal, and it also depends on where you're applying from, what nomination you have. But if you are a junior, I keep stressing this, like you can keep working to improve your file. You can keep working all the way, even if you're done. After you hit submit, you can keep working to improve. And yeah, that's something we take into account. We look at that and say, okay, they are continuing to show that, hey, they are trying to improve their file as much as possible. This must be really important to them. Okay. So any other questions? When is the application officially open? Christina, application is officially open June 1st. And so, I mean, we are coming, so really, coming to the end of this, before you apply, for all those that are interested, ask yourself these couple questions. You could read them yourself. Are you a leader, physically fit? Are you ready for a challenge? I would really want to stress, are you interested in serving as an Army officer? That to me is one thing that I request that you think about that very, very deeply before you apply. Is your goal, are you interested in serving as an Army officer? Because, this place, this great place exists to produce Army officers. So if you are looking at West Point because it's a free education, you like shooting guns, you want to wear a uniform for some reason, like, no, yeah, those could all be good reasons. But if the central and number one reason is not you want to be an Army officer, then please kind of think about why you're applying. And also ask yourself, and this is one thing I'd like to add, like, do you want a unique college experience? You, know, you will have opportunities to attend different schools for graduate schools, but you have a very short period in your life where you could attend a service academy or West Point, right? If you miss that opportunity, then that window is closed for the rest of your life. So um, you could ask yourself, what if? But I would say try. If you're interested, try to apply. You never know what's going to happen. Keep working on the process. If you don't get in the first time, 30% of our class are reapplicants. We also have our civilian prep school program, or where if you're a talented leader and you fall short, I mean, we may look at how proactive you are, how dedicated you are through this process, and recommend you for you going to a junior military college for a year and then being accepted into next year's class. We also have our preparatory school. So, a lot of different options out there for people. You do not need perfect SAT scores. You need, though, to want to be an Army officer, and you need to be willing to work and show that effort as you go through this process. Oh, all of you, I know a lot of questions about SLE, the Summer Leaders Experience. This is a great opportunity. Unfortunately, it is virtual this year. Fortunately or unfortunately, having it virtual, we are allowed to include more, and there are some great planning involved. We have a lot of great things lined up. So SLE, if you are accepted, I would definitely recommend doing it. For those that are sophomores or freshmen or even younger, we're, we usually do this in person, and it's really a great opportunity to sleep in the barracks, eat some academy dining hall food, and more importantly, meet other people that are interested in this opportunity. I had met in previous years accepted applicants, and I asked them, did you go to SLE? And if they say yes, I'd say, hey, so do you still keep in contact with your squad members? And they said yes. We still contact even like close to a year after we went through experience. And I'd like to highlight that bond that you build in 1 week at SLE. Just imagine that, you know, multiplied by 47 months. These experiences, these unique experiences, these successes that you have, overcoming obstacles, like these are the things that really make your relationship special at West Point and will make your experience really special to you, especially as it in the rear view mirror. I know we have some old grads in here, like, yeah, the further away you get from it, the more you tend to appreciate the things that you learned at the academy. So, that is pretty much the end. I'm going to open up to questions, but if you liked what you heard today, please feel free to shoot us a like on this Facebook app, a comment, give us a thumbs up. Just let us know that you're out there so we know who's out there. And if you want, please, you can follow us at Facebook, on our Instagram, and on our YouTube page. So a lot of different social media outlets where you can kind of see what's going on. Mr. Clark, Jermaine Clark, he posted some great uh, Instagram videos of unique tradition at West Point. We had the Soch Run, where it's one of the biggest papers that are required of juniors or our cows. And to celebrate the completion of it, they will dress up in various costumes and like run to try to meet the deadline. And you'll see a big clock. But follow us on missions, send us a like here on Facebook, and if you have any questions, the best resource to start with is westpoint.edu admissions. Our website will answer, quite frankly, 95% of any question that you have. So if you're interested, start at our website, and feel free to reach out to us here in the admissions office. We also have local area representative, our field force members, who are fantastic, but we are here to help you through this process. That is why we are here, and we are here to help dedicated young men and women like yourselves to get to the academy and serve their country. So, enough of me talking. Well, I would like to answer any questions if anyone has questions, and if not, I'll answer. If not, there's no more questions. So say good night to everybody. Any questions that would need to be answered? Okay. I will give it a couple more seconds. I guess I'll give it one more minute. If you have any question whatsoever, please let us know. But if not, thank you for attending. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us. If you're somewhere else in the world where it's Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, thank you. And we look forward to working with you. And yeah, please stay in touch. Please, you know, yeah, stay in touch with us via social media. Send us likes, be interactive with us. We want to know you're out there. But yeah, thank you for taking the time. And yeah, everyone, God bless and good night.